to thank Ed Burdell, where'd Ed go, and Sarah Hartwig and everybody who's responsible for the 1210 Speaker Series for putting this on and having me here and sharing this time with Eve Bull and Mike Brown. I look forward to hearing what he has to say. Second of all, in case you're wondering what a high school principal is doing at this event, I did fill out my personal leave form. I took 2 hours of personal leave here today, so no taxpayer dollars are being spent behind this message. I'm Jack Jose. I'm a principal at Gamble Montessori High School. It is in my own neighborhood. I live in Westwood. I walk to work on days when I don't have to drive to events like this. I would have taken the 21 down, but the 28 or 30 minutes that throws into my schedule makes it for a rough ride. So I had to drive to work today. I live right down the street from Westwood Elementary School, where I've seen some of the renaissance that we've put in with the My Tomorrow initiative. I'm excited about this levy as a citizen. I'm excited about it as a high school principal as well. And so I enthusiastically accepted the opportunity to come here and talk about what this means to me. I'm a relatively new Cincinnatian by Westwood standards. I've only lived here about 24 years. I know in another generation, my children will be able to claim that they're from Westwood. Right, so I'm getting the sort of, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Here's what the preschool promise, and here's what the work for young kids means for us at high school. I will tell you that as a high school principal, every year when we bring in our 7th graders, we see a wide range of reading abilities. I have 7th graders this year who test about the 5th grade level of reading. I have 7th graders this year who test according to a MAP, which is a nationally standardized test, who are reading at a college level when they arrive in my classrooms. So that means I've got about, even just in one classroom, I have 7 or 8 years worth of gaps. Between my best readers and my poorest readers. I also know that about 40% of the students who come into my school are students on individualized education plans, which means at some point that they were identified with a learning disability. Many of them come to our schools having looked at their options in charter and private schools and have realized that they won't get the services and the level of assistance that they get in Cincinnati public schools. Despite those headwinds, the last 3 years, our school got an A in value added in the state report card. Value added, I think, is one of the stronger aspects of the state report card, and we can get into the strengths and many weaknesses of the state report card later. But that's the one that shows consistently how much, it's their best guess at how much a student has really grown over the course of a year. That was difficult to judge, and this year when they switched from the PARC test, which last year was the test in which they were going to evaluate all of us, and this year they've outlawed and they're given a different test called the AIR. So somehow they've calculated differently based on the changes of exams. But value added is what we're about. We're about taking a child as they arrive at our front door and making sure that at the end of those 6 years that they're ready for employment, that they're ready for enrollment, or in some cases they're ready to enlist. And we're helping them find the path that is appropriate for them. The levy, as it is written now, helps prepare every child from the first day they set foot, not in my classroom, but the first time they set foot in a classroom in Cincinnati Public Schools. And frankly, I have not yet ever made the argument that a child was too prepared for kindergarten, that a child was over-prepared for 7th grade, right? That there is not too much preparation. We can't have a child reading too well. That's just not ever a problem. It's a problem I guess we'd like to struggle with at some point, but that is not where we are. So all of this that is important, all of this is important because it has to do with preparation, and then you can build on where you start. And I love that this particular levy involves shared oversight. One of my, as a person who loves growing up in a democracy, I appreciate that public schools are overseen by publicly elected officials. That with the records request, you can look at our information. You can get all of the data that I've told you about my school and even more with the simple internet search of the school. We are completely transparent. With shared oversight, we know the money is being used wisely and it's being used for goals that were decided, as Eve said, by the public. That's democracy, right? That's the American dream, right? This is what we had hoped to build in our society. And it's a rich, diverse, powerful way to grow a community. I want to tell you a little bit of something that Eve didn't hit on. It was eye-opening to me when I started taking classes to become a principal to learn about how taxes and how school taxes work in the state of Ohio. You probably might be aware that on 5 separate occasions the state Supreme Court in the state of Ohio said that our funding system is unconstitutional. You'll recall the last time they did this, I remember the news, they said we appear to be powerless to make the legislature do anything about it. And the governor that next day gave a speech saying, "We solved the problem." Well, no problem was solved. There's been no significant change made. It's still an unconstitutional system. Unfortunately, it's a system we have, that if we want to improve our schools, we have to raise taxes on ourselves. And that's, as a citizen and a taxpayer here, I'm certainly willing to do it because this is a good investment. Also, once we pass a property tax, from the day it's signed, a school tax, it can never go up in value unless we get into a situation with negative inflation, which is not something that's happened in our society in a long time. So that from the day it's signed, that levy is worth less than the day that we wrote it for because of the cost of things going up. And if our property taxes increase, say we're in a period right now, and certainly in Westwood, we're in a period where our property tax values are going up. My neighborhood value is going up. People are moving into my neighborhood. However, the way the tax is written, the tax assessed on a given property cannot go up. The amount cannot go up. That's considered an unfunded or unvoted upon mandate. So never, even in a rising economic tide, school monies don't go up. And that's the system that we're in. And what that means is that periodically we have to come back to you and ask for more money. In the suburbs, it means you see levies every 2 or 3 or 4 years. Here in Cincinnati, it's been 8 years since we've come back and asked for more money, despite that's 8 years of inflation digging away at our money, of built-in salary increases digging away at our money. So I think it's important to weigh all those things in consideration. And I know I was given the time limit, and I'm eager to hear our third speaker. And so thank you guys for your time, and I appreciate you being here.